Welcome back to Oh, and the World Plays Out of the Park Baseball 21. This is going to be a special episode. This is the 10-year review. So we're going to take a look at the history of our franchise and of the league, investigate some of the great players. So at this point, anybody who retires after having played 10 years is now eligible to join the Hall of Fame. So we'll be looking at some of those players who were picked in that first initial draft, looking at that first round and some of our key players. So here you can see the history of the Chicago White Stockings. We have won the title 8 times, finished second twice, only finished 3 games back in each of those, and we've won 6 World Series titles. We've only won them consecutively once. But we have definitely been on a run. Overall, we've won 72% of our games. That's pretty impressive. Average, you can see the league is starting to trend downwards. Pitching getting a little bit better, I think. This is one of these where we'll start to see where things are going in terms of the overall. So I think, let's see. Let's check in leaderboards here. So all-time leader. So in the season, it is batting average. Levi Mayrill hit 460. I mean, that's 468 in 1873. At some point, that will clear off because of batting average numbers. And a lot of these guys are still active. So we have had how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I can count right there. 11. 400 seasons in total across 10 years. By players who've qualified. So that should have removed the 1871 season because that was a 60-game season. Some of the 1872 and 73s are still on because those were 60-game seasons. I think that's right. And a lot of it is Ross Barnes. So he is one of those players we really do need to jump in and take a look at. So he was the first overall pick in the initial draft. He is just 30 years old. He is one of the best players in the league. A couple of batting titles. So let's check out the history here. So 28 times he's been player of the week, 20 times batter of the month, 1 rookie of the month. Well, that one you can only win so many times. 7 MVPs. I think there's a Hall of Fame plaque waiting for him. He won Rookie of the Year. 8 times he's been the best fielder. 8 times he's been the best hitter. And that doesn't count this year because those awards haven't been given out. So that's really 8 out of 9. 3 playoff series MVPs because he's played for the Athletics, who were the other very dominant team in this. 2-time World Series winner, 10-time All-Star. One of those things. Just simply one of the best players of all time. Actually, while we're in there, let's just jump in and see if we can get to the Philadelphia Athletics. I'm not going to get there. Let's see. Baseball Nation page. So this is going to show a little bit more info. He has been in the league 10 years. And so that's showing his latest season, but career, I wish it would set it a little bit better, but you can check out some of those career stats. He's got a little over 1,300 hits. Career 379 hitter, already over 60 WAR. He is going to be an automatic first ballot Hall of Famer. So while we're here, let's go back one more. We do want to check out Philadelphia Athletics because they were basically the other dynasty as opposed to us. So they won 7 straight titles from 1872 to 1878 and 2 world championships in there, with us picking up the rest of those. Something doesn't add up, but okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. We should have won 4 in a row. Something does not make sense. My math isn't coming to fruition. Oh, because we didn't win, Philadelphia won, and we won as the Marylands that year, and Troy made it. That's why. Okay, that makes sense. I was trying to check that out, but that is an important screen to take a look at. So you can see that Cleveland won the first, was the American League champion the first year, then 7 years of the Athletics and 2 of the Red Caps. We have won 5 in a row, and we also won as the Baltimore Marylands. Troy managed to win 1, as did the Philadelphia Whites. Troy Trojans, who were they actually? So that would be 1875. So that was the Philadelphia Whites, who did make it. It's very confusing trying to figure out who everybody is in this insane setup. So, but you can see that the Athletics have now they've been an okay team. They finished 11 games back, 53 and 43 the last 2 years. They've been one of the better overall teams. So we're going to go back to our leaderboard. So career batting average, again, that's Ross Barnes. But Dick Hyam, who plays for us, a very good second there at 360. Well, I guess that's rounds to 363. And Levi Merrill right behind. So he's another one we ought to jump in and take a look at. He was not in the first overall. Well, I think he was in the first. Yeah, he was in the first overall draft, but he was picked in the second round, pick 10. So with 11 teams, wait, that doesn't make any sense. I thought we had 9 teams to start. Because it was 8 teams 4 times. Well, we'll be getting confused. He was round 2 over pick 10. But still a very good pick, a good hitter. So his history, 21 times player of the month, 8 batters of the month. He does have 1 MVP. The best hitter, 5 times at his position, 7-time All-Star. So a pretty good overall player. Yeah, he's been on every leaderboard. And we can go back and we'll look at his. Wait, that was back too far. We want to look at his Baseball Nation page. His stats actually make sense. So across his 10-year career, 1,269 hits, a 362 average, but he's only been worth about 19 WAR. But, for the most part, sit and think of doubling that because we've been playing like 96-game seasons on it for the last couple of years. So he had a 32, 360s, and then 696. So pretty much double it. So 38. He's been a pretty good overall player. So, a 5-win player for the most part across his career. I think it's also definitely worth taking a look at Cal McVeigh, the other elite catcher. So he went 5th overall in the initial draft. He's been pretty good. He's got a batting title to his name, a couple RBI titles. We can jump in and look at his history. He's got an MVP, 6 times best fielder, 8 times the best hitter, 10-time All-Star selection. So again, one of the best to play. And as a catcher, so that's always really impressive. So across his career, 1,184 hits, a career 347 hitter, 41.7 WAR. So, again, essentially that's a double. And so that is really some impressive numbers. He's only made the postseason once, and that was in the first year. Otherwise, he has just been hanging around. Anybody else? Yeah, we should probably check out Jimmy Wood. Again, a 4th overall pick in the initial draft. He has a batting title to his name, a couple triple titles. He's led in walks, RBIs once. His history, 1 MVP, 6 best fielders, 7 best hitters, 7-time All-Star. You're starting to see, some really good players in here. Fred Waterman. Round 3 in the initial draft. 25th overall pick. So a little bit later. third baseman. Looks like his career has turned into a backup over the last 2 years, or at least a platoon. Yeah, he's basically in a pinch hitter role now. So he may not be one that ends up getting a lot. Three-time All-Star, one-time best hitter. He's a guy who had one great season. Charlie Paber, who played for us for 2 years. Again, one of those initial guys. He's still playing pretty well. His history shows he's got one title, 6 times the best hitter, 8-time All-Star. Overall, a pretty good player. His page, he is 34, so he is going to be one of those that's on the downside. Across his career, just over 1,100 hits, 12.1 WAR, about a 335 hitter, and that's hurt by him being just a left fielder. Steve King, guy who's never really made it work, actually. He's mostly been a backup. He's a guy who had one good year. He had a 392. How did he get on this list? He's a career 330 hitter. He just doesn't have enough at bats. I mean, that's kind of story there. On base slugging, it's Levi Verrill and Ross Barnes. Those guys are the two greatest. Games in a season, Henry Kessler. That is interesting. How did he get to 100? He must have had a trade between two. Yeah, between Philadelphia 2 and Philadelphia 3, he managed to get to 100. So that's kind of just a quirk more than anything. Career, Anson, 788, not really a big one. Hits in a career, 13-13. A lot of names we've already talked about. Barnes, Hyam, Myro, Cap Anson, who plays for us. We've seen him quite a bit. He is going to get basically all the awards. So not too much to say there. Wes Fissler, again, he joined us. He's now played 5 seasons in Chicago after coming over in a trade. He's now 36, so he is well on the downside. So he's got a best hitter, 2 of those, a World Series MVP, 3-time World Series winner, 6-time All-Star. He's kind of one of these guys who's just on the edge, if you really think about it. 25.6 WAR, which is really 650, so that should qualify him. Career 328 hitter. Pretty feared hitter at various times. Scored 103 runs in that one season, so somebody to keep an eye on. Many of these other guys jump out. George Wright, he's one we have not talked about. He's played for the Trojans. So the 11th overall pick, okay, that makes more sense. Round 2, so he was a very early pick in the initial draft. A great shortstop. He's 33 now. He's got an MVP, 5-time the best fielder, 7-time the best hitter, 1 World Series MVP, 1-time winner, 7-time All-Star. One of the best players. Let's see. Career batting stats. He's got, there's 1,156 hits, 45.1 WAR. He's had some ridiculous seasons. So, if you think about that in modern terms, that's like twice that, so that's 90 WAR. Let's see. Other person we haven't touched on much is George Hall, one of the great center fielders in the early part of the game, and he's just 31, so there's still a few years for him, and he is a great defensive center fielder, and still hitting almost 300 in the environment now. 1-time best fielder, 8-time best hitter, 9-time All-Star. So just an overall great center fielder. 42 WAR, so double it, 82. That's just ridiculous. Career 331 hitter. Home runs is actually kind of fascinating. John Bass has been the best at this. He's got a 10 and an 8. Anson's got 2 6s. Marshall King, we touched on him in the last video. He has to be one of the worst hitters to regularly get starts. I mean, you sit and look at that. That's just awful. Let's go to his page. He's 30 years old. He's played 10 years. He has 574 hits. He's a career 173 hitter. They have run him out there. He has never once in his career has a positive WAR. Never once. He's played 10 years and pretty much played every game. So, it goes to show you power isn't everything. And for the career, it's John Bass again, 43. Anson at 31. Marshall King right behind at 30. Gat Stiers, we have not talked about him, so he's worth a peek in. He is another 10-year player, so he was a later pick. He went in round 6. Not somebody I think that's going to be he's won one Best Fielder award. He's just a guy who has happened to hit home runs. RBIs, that's Cap Anson. He's just running away with that. Yeah, that 113 season. He has the 3 best seasons in all, and then Levi Merrill. Anson has 4 of the top 6, so that's just bonkers. He's one of the best run producers in the game at this time. Stolen bases, Ross Barnes, 81. That's a crazy number. But he is far and away the best at this. Mike McGarry, another person we have not talked about yet. He was another round 6 pick and a very good shortstop in his own right. The bat looks like it started to fail him this year. He doesn't have any special things tied to him. Just over 1,000 hits, 25 WAR. So he'll be an interesting case as we start talking World Series. Any of these other guys worth taking a look at? Let's peek in at Denny Mack. He's another one. He's a 10-year player. Yeah, he completely has fallen apart. Let's check on his history. He was a 7th round pick, but he does have 2-time best hitter, 3-time best fielder, 3-time All-Star. So he's one of these guys that will be, again, an interesting case as we start going forward. Look at his career. Only 700 hits, only 12 WAR, so he probably won't make it. He's one of those guys who had a nice, peak, but it was not enough. Dave Egler, let's peek in on him. Another 10-year player. It looks like the last 3 he's been basically relegated to the bench. He's still a good defensive player, but the bat is not sticking with him. 6-time best fielder, 1-time best hitter, 2 World Series wins, 3-time All-Star. So good overall hitter, good overall player. I mean, he led the league in stolen bases one year. But he will be a player that will be really interesting to talk about when we, hit 15.4 WAR. So he's just off the pace. He's not going to make it. So some of these early guys, we are going to be looking, I think, more 25 to 30 is going to be that line. Modern times, it's closer to 50. Let's see. Paul Hines, he's actually a later guy, I think. And he's only got 9 years. So he was drafted in the first real draft class. And he has been, you can look at that. He's been a stud. 1 MVP, 7 best fielders, 1-time best hitter, 1 championship, 3 All-Stars. Actually kind of surprising. I would have thought he'd have had more. But he's only had 9 years, but he's one of these guys who's headed for it. Over 1,000 hits, 31.5 WAR. He had a 7.3. I mean, in 96 games, that's just dominant. So, They'll talk about him for a while. Andy Leonard, he now plays for us as a bench bat. You can see he's basically fallen off the map. He can still play a little bit, still got some good hit, but he kind of just became one of those extraneous people. Round 5 pick, 1 best fielder, 1 best hitter, 1 World Series, 3-time All-Star. What does that really mean? I mean, as you look at a career, he's got 900 hits, 19.8 WAR the last 2 years, basically break even. He's just a guy at this point. I don't know if he's going to have done enough to get over that hump. I think now it's time to go check out our pitchers. So some of these are going to be kind of wonky. So it requires 96 innings pitched for a season to count. And so Dan Collins had that one great season. Because he was an expansion draft pick. He played for us at one point. But he's also a guy who really doesn't throw a ton of innings. So, he's kind of the first reliever in the league. And eventually he probably won't count much. So we'll kind of skip over that one. Career wins. These are just weird numbers because of the era. But wins. It's Bobby Matthews at 251, Al Pratt, Riley Walters. So Bobby Matthews, he's led the league in wins many times. So lots of pitchers of the month, 1-time best fielder, 6-time All-Star, 251 wins. I think he's going to get there. He was the 14th overall pick in the initial draft. You look at those numbers, he's going to be an automatic when we get to the Hall of Fame case. Al Pratt for us we took him 6th overall. He probably has not been as good, but has been above average. He's been a number 1. He's not elite, but a good pitcher. So, he's going to have a great case when we hit the Hall of Fame discussion. He has got 4 pitcher of the years, 6-time championship, 9-time All-Star. There's going to be a discussion for him. Riley Walters, who also played for us for a short period of time. Well, I guess not short, 5 years. And was really a pretty good pitcher. He's 38 now, so he's probably going to fall off a cliff. Dick McBride again, 1871, another great pitcher. He was the 8th overall pick. He has pitched well across the board. Again, he's going to have a good case when we hit Hall of Fame discussions. Those are the only guys over 200, so Bill Stearns, any of these other guys. Phony Martin has retired. So he played for us for, about a year and a half. For a career, 22.5 wins. So he's going to be a borderline. Well, he's not going to get there. Only 8 years of service. So he's not even going to have a Hall of Fame case. But I was going to say, he was going to be pretty borderline. Any of these other guys. Al Spalding, who's pitching for us now. Again, he's going to be an interesting case. So in his career, he's been the best hitter 5 times, won a World Series, 4-time All-Star. Is that enough? Actually, go back here. He was the 3rd overall pick. So, he's had a decent career. He was with Washington for the first 8 and with us for the last 2. He's been a below 500 pitcher, so that's going to be hard. ERA plus is good. So, interesting person to talk about. Asa Brainerd has retired. So he didn't play 10 years, so he won't be there, but he had some really good years. So I think wins is an interesting one to talk about. Any of these other ones worth taking a look at. Strikeouts, I think that is a fascinating one right now. For the career, it is Jim Britt and Bobby Matthews. Sam Weaver here. He got taken from us in an expansion draft. Or no, he didn't. He just got picked. He's been pretty dominant. They keep throwing him out as a starter. He doesn't have the endurance, but he definitely has got good stuff. Let's see. Accomplishments. Nobody's had a 3 home run game. 6 hit games have been a good number. Those, we have a pair of 7 hit games. Eddie Booth had 1, and Cal McVeigh. 15 plus strikeouts. Nobody's done that. Cycles. So there have been 4 of those. Most recent one was Dick Hyam for us against Philadelphia. No hitters. Just one in 1874. Dick McBride. 50 home run seasons. There hasn't been 150 RBIs. Records 30, 20 win seasons. These happen all the time. This year you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Barely an accomplishment. Was at 8. Triple crowns. Riney Walters, the only one to get one. Only one. We've come close with Cap Anson has come close a few times. Milestones, so 4 guys have crossed 200 wins, and Bobby Matthews has crossed 250. Those are the only milestones. Hitting streaks. So far, 37 games for Paber looks like the record. There's 40 for Cap Anson in 1877. Levi Merrill also had one that year. That was 42. So those are all of the ones that are over 20. Leagues, that's not helping. Managers, so all of the managers in the league wins. Let's just sort it that way. Other way, Jeremy Peck, the worst at 6-54, and Jose Zaragoza at 8-52. Mark Peterson got 2 years. That's an .093 winning percentage. 13-127. Wow. Jimmy Wood definitely the best. Teams. So here you can see kind of everybody's progression. The Buffalo Bison, or the Fort Wayne Kekia Ongas, the Brooklyn Atlantics, and the Louisville Grays. Boston Red Caps were the Boston Red Stockings. I think it's worth looking at it this way. The Athletics have been the Athletics. The Mutuals have been the Mutuals. Troy were the Troy Haymakers, and then the Philadelphia Whites, and now they're back to Troy. Cincinnati Red, Rockford Forest Cities, Baltimore Canaries, New Haven Elm Cities. Worcester Ruby Legs, Washington Olympics, Washington Blue Legs, Washington Nationals, Syracuse Stars. Pick a name, friends. Cleveland Blues, Cleveland Forest Cities, Elizabeth Resolutes, Hartford Dark Blues, Milwaukee Grays, Detroit Wolverines. They were the Brooklyn Eckfords, then the Keokuk Westerns, and now they are the Detroit Wolverines. Providence Grays were the St. Louis Red Stockings, St. Louis Brown Stockings, and Philadelphia Centennials were the Washington Nationals. And played some terrible baseball. So, let me pick the year. Sports. That's about us. MLB transactions. That's what we want. News and logs. Complete transaction log. We would like to go all the way back. Back in time. Nope, we're not going into the 1860s. That would be a little too far back. January 1871. Come on. These guys exist. Okay. I guess we're not going to look at it that way. League history, retired players. Let's check this out. So we had a bunch of retirements this year. Any of these guys. Henry Austin, he played for us for, well, part of his career. He was really not much of a player for his career. He was 4.3 wins below replacement, but most of that was that first year where he was 4.5. That would be the biggest issue with him. Can I sort it? Okay. So, most significant players, Bill Craver, 611 hits, 10 years in the majors, so he will get to be on the vote. Twice led the league in doubles, 11.6 wins above replacement, couple-time All-Star, one-time Platinum Stick. The other one, Fergie Malone, had a bunch of hits. Again, basically a replacement level player. He did play 10 years, so we'll get to vote on him. Ned Cuthbert, 10 years, we'll get to vote on him. And so none of those guys are really going to make anybody really care. Yeah, there's a grand total of, he's the only one who had multiple All-Star Game appearances. What is this? Cherokee Fisher, Gold Glove, MVP, Cy Young. So Cherokee Fisher had some Gold Gloves and an All-Star appearance. So Hilly, So 26.4 WAR, 125 and 85 across 10 years. That'll be an interesting case to talk about. Hall of Fame, nobody will be off there. Milestones, some people have hit 300. Now, some people are close to 300 stolen bases. Champions, that's us. Playoff history, that's us. History, yeah. So, I thank you for sticking around and watching this. If there's anybody else you would like me to check in on, leave a message down in the comments and we'll do that. Probably at the next 5-year window. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you for the off season. Bye.